What's up guys, macadii here, and today guys, week 5 of the GPC League where I am up against Joost, coach of the Angels of Beheeyeim. So if you guys enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like down below, I would really appreciate it. So at the minute we're 3-1, which is pretty sweet. We lost to Rufus last week, but it would be nice this week to obviously get another win because, what was that, 4-1 is much better than 3-2, obviously, but it just, you know, for trying to get to playoffs, it would be absolutely fantastic to get. So as always, what we'll do is I'll run through what he could be bringing, what I'm going to be bringing, and then go on and into the match. So this is my first cross-divisional match. So he's in Division A, I'm in Division B, and he has got Latios as a Z user, Lando T as a Z user, very, very scary, T-Tar, Blaziken, which was a crazy 6 points this season, absolutely insane because that mon is an absolute beast, Stoutland, Whimsicott, Registeel, Electivire, Golbat, Scrafty, Cypher, and Mega Blastoise. So a very, very spooky team, and what we'll do is we'll have a quick run through of what I decided to bring for him. So first thing I wanted to bring 100% was Megalop, because Megalop, oh my goodness, it's so good. It's been so good this season. It was so good in Season 5 when I used it. I don't know why in GPC it just carries me, and I just love using it so much. So we've got Mega Lopunny here with the high jump kick return because that hits all of his team really, really nicely. And the Ice Punch allows me to hit the Lando T extra hard in case I need to do that. And then finally Fake Out because it allows me to pressure things like the Latios or just anything in general if I want to get a little bit of chip damage off. Especially if they're Scarfers, you know, like Scarf Blaziken late game, might make a really, really big difference there. Next up, we've got Tyrantrum. So this is my check to Lando T, because Lando T, oh my god, it's such a scary setup mon versus me. Because Swords Dance with Flynium Z or Rockium Z, so he can be either, you know, either set, absolutely runs through most of my team, and is a really, really spooky mon to try and beat. So, I've got Air Balloon Tyrantrum here with the Strong Jaw. So this has got Ice Fang on here. So this is designed basically to avenge or pressure Lando T. So for example, if he's a Swords Dance set, I can come out afterwards after he's used a Z move, go for the Dragon Dance and, you know, Ice Fang him from there. Or I could just Ice Fang him straight off if he's at +2 because he's a Rock Polish set. It does still kind of lose to Continental Crush depending on the set. But this was my best chance, and I was kind of leaning towards him bringing Flynium Z just because it helps him break the Alamomola a little bit better. We got Earthquake and Dragon Claw, which hits the rest of his team pretty hard, and at +1, you know, we're looking pretty sweet, and we can wear down quite a few of the checks to Mega Lopunny, like his Golbat, which is his best defensive check, and I guess the Cypher as well. Next up, we got Killer Ribbons, which is a defensive set. He really does struggle to try and break this outside of obviously like the Swords Dance Lando T, and he also takes quite a lot of damage with this outside of like the Registeel, but I've got ways to switch into Registeel, so I'm not too worried about that. Calm Mind allows me to set up on quite a lot of his team. If he's not Taunt Golbat, that's a perfect setup fodder for me, which is really nice, and I can just sort of pressure his team from there. Next, I had to bring Alamomola 100% because it allows me to have a Sponge to switch into like a Draco from Latios. Lando T, I can take a hit from, which is nice. If he's not Swords Dance, then I can wall to an extent, depending on his set. But even an EQ does ungodly amounts of damage. And we got the Scald on there to try and burn, Wish Protect, and then finally Toxic there. Next, we got Einstein. So this set is really nice versus his team. He really struggles to try and break out outside of like the T-Tar. Maybe the Lando T, depending on the set, and I realised at the end of the battle I didn't really speed creep properly with my Rotom, but I probably should have done that considering I was same speed as Lando, and, you know, being able to outspeed min speed Lando would have been nice. I can Willow the Scrafty, I can just basically spread burns, be a real pain, and just go on from there. Colbert Berry helping me versus things like the T-Tar. And then finally we've got Smooze, the Alolan Mark, which helps me check the Latios, and just generally knockoff's quite nice because he's got a few Eviolite users, and I can switch into things like Whimsicott without too much trouble, take a hit or two from Mega Blastoise, and Poison Touch or Poison Jab is really nice to be able to get a poison on quite a few of his mons, like even the Lando T if it wants to switch in. You know, knockoff I can still get the chance to poison, Poison Jab has a really good chance to poison it, and being able to wear that guy down will be really nice. Then we got the Pursuit there to trap the Latios. If he does have if I suspect he's got Earthquake with Z Earthquake, then what I can do is I can make a cheeky switch into Rotom, as he's then going to either go for the EQ on that prediction, or he's going to go for the ZEQ, and that will be even more beautiful. And then Brick Break there, because that allows me to do a huge amount of damage to the T-Tar, which would otherwise put me in a little spot of bother there. So what we'll do now is we'll go into the match, and you guys can see what happened from there. Okay, so we are at the match, and as you can see, he brought some very scary offense in form of the Blaziken plus Lando T, and also potentially the T-Tar there. He's got the two really annoying bulky Eviolite uses and a lot of knockoff switching, so I'm a little bit worried about those. Muck's going to be particularly useful for those to be able to knock them off, and yeah. What I decided to do was lead off with Mega Lopunny, because I can fake out, you know, put a little bit of pressure on at the start, just to scout out and see what's going on here. And that's really nice. Rotom looks really beautiful here, because look, physical attacker, maybe physical attacker, but physical attacker, physical attacker, physical attacker, physical attacker. So I can spread burns and play all sorts of fun shenanigans from there. So I decided to leave Mega Lop here. And I must apologise, this is like a week after I played this because of delays, so I apologise if any things I've missed and stuff like that, but basically I switch into Rotom here as he goes for a Taunt, which is a bit of a pain for me because I can't get that free Willow off, which would be nice. I'm a little bit worried that Lando's going to switch in here, but I was like, oh no, he won't do that straight away, but he does end up going straight Lando, so that's a little bit spooky for me, because now I've got to switch out and I've got to see what sort of set this is. So I go into my Alomola. And Alomola is looking really, really nice this game because he's got so many physical attackers here. So I don't really want to lose this guy. So I go for Protect here, just in case he wants to go for that, you know, cheeky Z move to start with. And I only take 25 from that. So now what I do is I switch into Tyrantrum, predicting either another Earthquake or the Z Fly. But as you can see, he goes to the Z move, goes to the Continental Crush, and that's going to take me out from there. Lando T is really scary. I think that even without the crit, I think it was guaranteed to kill. So yeah, it was just a real pain in my side really. So I'm gonna go for Ice Punch here because I just have to force this out. And Lando T is still a really big threat because it outspeeds like 1, 2, 3 of my mons guaranteed that's left. Only really Lop can revenge it, and yeah, just really, really scary. So I go back out into Rotom, predicting the that thing, and I'm just gonna go for a cheeky little Willow, but I miss. And not much I can do really, but luckily he does decide to stay in as I'm going to get another cheeky burn off. So that's really nice. That's Cypher out of commission there, which is really, really great. So I believe I do go for either another Will-O-Wisp. Yeah, I go for another Willow because I'm a man. So we go for another Willow and we get the Scrafty as well, and that's Intimidate. So that's absolutely beautiful for me. So I need a little bit of damage on this Scrafty, so I go for Volt Switch, go into Killer Ribbons. I don't mind too much about getting my leftovers taken off. At this point, I can just go for... I double out into the Rotom, expecting him to go into the Golbat. Unfortunately, there's a little bit of shenanigans where he decides to stay in all these times. And I go straight Sylveon just in case he wants to go for the Lando option, and which is why I didn't Volt Switch there. So I'm going to go for Wish here, as the Poison Jab is like 12, which is absolutely hilarious for me. But I'm going to be able to get that Wish off first, as he goes into Golbat, as I just go for Hyper Voice. It's doing absolutely nothing. And I'm realising just how much of a problem this Golbat is, and how I need to be really careful with my Rotom. So Rotom, I took a little bit of damage there. Don't mind too much, because now I can go for a Pain Split, I believe. Getting myself back up. This Rotom is, for 3 points, I love Rotom. It's so much fun. So I can go for a little Volt Switch, pivot round, and go into my Muck, just to get a nice knockoff off, and, potentially get a Poison Touch on this guy, or just anything else as well. So he does go into the Lando here. I probably should have Poison Jab to guarantee, but I go for knockoff here. Unfortunately, don't get the Poison Touch, so that's a real shame for me. As he goes into Blaziken here, which is a really interesting play for me, because I didn't really want to risk switching out into Lop. Alomola was set up fodder, so I really wouldn't want to switch into that if he went for Swords Dance. And Smooth kind of didn't have the best matchup. Like, knockoff was really nice versus a few of his mons, but he's got like Scrafty, Lando, and also T-Tar to be able to switch into knockoff, so it's never really going to be able to get a knockoff off. So that's why I decided to stay and sack it, but he ended up doing a cheeky double here and goes out into his Blaziken. So I get a nice Poison Jab off, still no Poison Touch. Oh, Muck. Letting the team down. As he goes for a Focus Blast, and Muck takes like a champ, and Muck gets a kill, so that's, that's pretty sweet. So now I can go back into Lando, and I was like, oh, do I risk it? Do I switch out? And I was like, no. Actually, no, I do switch out. I go into Alomola. And that still does 39 to a defensive Alomola. Lando is Spoop. So here I go for a Scald, because I'm like, come on. We got to get a burn. We've not had any Poison Touches. We've got to get a burn. No burn. So I do go for the Protect here, because that's going to bring me slightly up to a point where I can live another one, or at least to roll. So I do live another one. Are we going to get a burn? No, we don't get a burn. So that's a real pain on my part. You know, Lando dodging the 2 Scalds and also the knockoff poison, which would have, you know, if I got the knockoff poison, that would have killed. But unfortunately now I have to go back out to Lop to do that, as he's going to go back into Golbat. Now I can go back into Smooth and I can go for potentially a knockoff. I go for the poison jab here just because I know if the Lando switches in, I can do just enough to bring him down to a point where I had a really good chance to poison for the next time. So I'd be able to poison him and take him out from there. So he does go for Area Ice here. Smooth isn't looking particularly useful here, as I get the knockoff on the Eviolite, which is great, and we get to take out Cypher. So Smooth getting 2 kills here is pretty sweet. So out comes Sandlad. He does go for the Earthquake as I go for Brick Break. I didn't know if he wants to set up rocks or do something like that, because this is his only potential rocker here. But he does decide to go for the Earthquake. Things are looking pretty tense right now, because there's only three mons left, 2 of which can't touch Golbat. And I'm like, oh, this is not looking good at all. And that Lando T is really pressuring me. So he does go for Stone Edge here. I go for a Wish here because I know I can then take another one. So he goes for Stone Edge. I was like, please don't crit. Okay, good. Get the Hyper Voice off, but he gets the whatchamacallit, the Weakness Policy activated. And I was like, oh god, this is going to be a scary T-Tar. So he goes for Stone Edge there, and it's able to take me out. The good news is, at least he's not Choppleberry. So that's nice. So I do go for Fake Out here, because it would burn a turn of sand, and it was kind of like the neutral play. And I didn't know if he would go straight Golbat. I didn't want to risking a high jump kick, because I knew I needed the HP later on from there. So now I made slightly controversial play, because I calced it, looked at it, and I was like, okay, so this is the interesting thing is Golbat actually, if he goes to Brave Bird here, Golbat will actually take a really good amount of recall, and Ice Punch plus Brave Bird recall will bring him down to a point where I can potentially then get a Lop Sweep from here, because I can take a Golbat to Brave Bird, and I won't have much HP left, but he's shown no rocks. My HP kind of doesn't matter outside of Sandstorm, but that's something, you know, a bridge I have to cross. But for right now, this is my best bet of weakening this guy. So I decide to, oh no, actually here I switch out into Rotom. It's a little bit later on for that, spoiler alert. But he does go for the taunt here. I go for Volt Switch, and this is it. I now go for Volt Switch and go out into my Lop, as he goes for Brave Bird. So that's why I Volt Switched out there, because he knew I would outspeed, and Volt Switch would do that. And then I don't think he realised in the sort of long run what the impact that would do for Mega Lop. But also, it just in general, it seemed to make sense at the time. I can't remember the exact logic, but basically if he went for Brave Bird, I'd be able to weaken him to a point where I'd be able to take him out. So now he goes into Lando. He's still got 2 Intimidators, and I've only got 1 more realistic switch in. So it's looking pretty scary from here. So I know I don't kill the Scrafty from here depending on the set, but he's probably like a max HP set. So I do have to switch out here, go into Rotom, but I got the Colbur, still not pop that Colbur, so the Colbur coming in useful there, as that's nice for me. I need to now weaken this Scrafty and also not force a T-Tar switch in. Oh, I got hiccups now. But anyway, I go for a Will-O-Wisp. I'm going for a few Will-O-Wisp mind games, and the mind games at this point were like incredible. So really tense. So I can go for Pain Split here, try and heal up. And essentially the Golbat's useless because both of my mons will be able to take it out. But I just want to weaken this Scrafty down to as weak as I can, is the plan. So now he goes into T-Tar as I make the prediction and go for the Will-O-Wisp. And that was a huge turn. Being able to Will-O-Wisp this guy is absolutely incredible for me, because I can go for Pain Split here as he goes to Rock Polish, and I was like, oh damn, I think that might be game. Because I think he can take this guy out. He can outspeed Lop, most likely, if he's set up the right way. But what happens? He goes to Stone Edge, and Einstein, the absolute genius himself, lives on 1, as I'm able to then get the Volt Switch off, live on 1, so I've now got a switch in to Sandlad, to counteract the incoming Intimidate from Scrafty, because I needed to do that, because otherwise, if this guy died, and I'd still manage to kill the T-Tar, he'd be able to Intimidate once, switch into Golbat, Intimidate twice, switch into Golbat, rinse and repeat basically till Gold. Actually, no, I guess maybe only once, but even then, two Intimidates would bring him to a point where a high jump kit might not kill. So having Rotom alive still was absolutely huge. So now what I can do is I can go for Fake Out, because if he goes into Scrafty, it wears him down. I have to make sure I don't choke with the Sandstorm turns. So here I was like, okay, I've got one more hit now, but he goes into T-Tar, and that was pretty useful because then the Sandstorm's going to end. So what I can do now is I can sack off my Rotom. So Rotom gets sacked off here, and then I can go into Lop as the Sandstorm subsides. Oh, the mind games at this point and the forts were pretty crazy here. To be honest, I don't think whichever switch made any difference because I could have just high jump kicked and killed them both. But in my head at the time, I was like, okay, I think he may have sort of choked at that point. But I can go for Fake Out now, weaken that Scrafty down to a point. I looked at it after the return damage. I was gonna have to go for high jump kick, and we hit the high jump kick, so we get the win. So that's absolutely brilliant. So at this point now, we are now 4-1. So really, really happy with that game. Really, really tense to the end, and Lando is so scary. So scary. But anyway, I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, don't forget to leave a like down below. I would really appreciate it, and I will see you guys at the next one. Macadii out.